with a lack of comedy content in the gay parenting world, New York City friends and fathers David and Gavin decided to create their own.
Yeah, this dark comedy podcast centers on the wild world of parenting and how to survive both as a gay parent and a functional human. Please welcome the host of the Gaytriarchs podcast, David Vaughn and Gavin Lodge. Nice to have you both here with us.
Hi, how you doing?
All right, so let's start off with, where did you guys come up for the idea for this podcast?
Well, first of all, we have plenty of eggs, so don't worry. I just saw your previous segment. Don't worry, we got all the eggs. I became a parent, and I realized very quickly that I needed parents around me who told the truth and who didn't kind of make it all about goop and, it's a handbag. Parenting is this, journey, and it wasn't. It was a war, and I needed to go to battle, and I needed friends around me that were like that. And so I looked for gay parenting content that had that, and it just flat out didn't exist. So I was like, maybe I'll just make it. And I called my friend Gavin and I said, hey, do you want to do this with me? And yeah.
I'm obsessed with podcasts, and I love hearing the sound of my own voice, and I think David does as well. So this was a match made in heaven. And I do want to make the disclaimer before we go too far, that as much as we love our children, we love parenting, and what we love close in second place to that is complaining about parenting and about our kids.
Then what better place to do it than a podcast?
Okay, so you actually both met as Broadway performers. Does that influence your podcast conversations at all?
I mean, hopefully we have a sense of show business and timing and the ability to have a good beginning, middle, and an end to all of our stories. But we don't actually talk about Broadway all that much. The show's for everybody, non-parents and Broadway haters alike.
All right, so we know most children are little angels most of the time, but some can have a bit of a devilish side. So have your children...
Most of the time.
That was in the script, Gavin. That's what I was supposed to say. Have your kids done anything recently that has shocked you, surprised you, that you've shared or are going to share on the podcast?
I mean, for sure. I mean, listen, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, so there's a lot of crying in my house, and the kids cry too sometimes. So, I mean, listen, every day is something new. This morning was a new one for me. I went to wake my son up, and he had his bedsheet over him, and he wouldn't take it off. And I said, well, take off your bedsheet. And he said, no. I pulled it back, and there was an entire chocolate cake sitting on his chest that he was nibbling at bite by bite for breakfast. So that was a fun thing to clean up this morning.
That's a breakfast of champs. Sounds like a breakfast.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And something that differentiates us is I have a 9-year-old and an 11-year-old. So those toddler days are way in the recesses, the cobwebs of my daddy brain. So I don't remember any of it. But I do have a tween who challenges me every single day with her attitude. So
you don't have chocolate cake, but you have they have an answer for everything, right?
Well said. Well said.
And it'll only get better into the teenage years. Okay, so what do you think you've learned the most so far about being New York City parents?
I mean, New York is, of course, the greatest city in the world, and parenting there is much easier than people outside of New York might necessarily think. I mean, you've got so many people just on the sidewalks, your friends, there's playgrounds all over the place. You meet new people all the time. You're able to commiserate with the other fatigued parents, or maybe check out some of the other dads you see on the sidewalk. It's a whole buffet of parenting and people.
But honestly, where else can you see like a fist fight and like the best bagel in the world? Like nowhere else but like Manhattan. It's the best place.
Oh, amen to that. Well, thank you both for joining us this afternoon. Quite the pleasure.
So fun.
Thank you so much,
guys.
All right, well, the Gaytriarchs podcast can be found online. Of course, you can also follow them on TikTok and Instagram at Gaytriarchs Podcast.